What's something that people don't understand until they experience it themselves? Panic attacks, poverty, depression, war. I imagine some films do a good job of giving you a glimpse into the living hell that is the battlefield. But for the vast majority of people, war is something far away and glorious. I feel like an ass even saying this because I've never been in a war. But I do know that I'll never be able really feel the terror and panic of having to kill or be killed. A death in the family. Chronic pain. Yes. I'm always in pain. Yes. I'm exhausted. Yes. I'm good at hiding it. People seem to forget about it if you're not screaming. Dealing with Alzheimer's dementia. There's so many emotions watching someone you love suffer and them not understand what they are saying or doing, especially when they are angry and mean, sometimes even violent. The system failing to help protect people. Poverty probably. Lot of people without any financial problems complain about the obviously bad choices poor people make. But they just fail to grasp the entirety of being in that situation. In general, just most problems that other people have. Why don't they just? If you find yourself asking this, there's a 98% chance you just don't understand what's going on. Addiction. Or rather quitting an addiction. I used to think that quitting smoking should just be a matter of willpower. But it's just not that simple. Witnessing a loved one take his last breath. Mental illness. Hunger, serious devastating hunger with no meal in sight. Grief. It's not something you get over, it's something you get through and it's with you for life. Losing the one love of your life. Sudden anxiety episodes. The choices people make and the way people behave when they're in love. Depression and anxiety. I have had so many people come into my work and tell me they thought it was all bullshit until it affected them. Psychosis. Having kids. Acid. Death of a loved one, and yes, even a pet. An actual migraine headache. Date rape. The criminal justice system and/or prison. Abuse. Cancer. $13,000 in credit card debt and 41 cents in checking. As others have said, anxiety unexplained, panic attacks, and general aging process. Getting older sucks. The level of tired you get from having your body pumped full of chemo. It is all developing and impossible to explain. The feeling of being hopelessly overworked. How hard it is to execute a suicide successfully. Living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of the older generations think it's BS we spend too much money on coffee. Or vapes. Or whatever it is. The economy is fucked. The government is fucked. Why do we have to pay taxes on every fucking thing? Our paychecks. Our food. Our gas. Our vehicles. Everything. I make $50,000 a year. And barely bring home $2,800 a month. My bills are $1,800 and I still live at home. I couldn't afford to live anywhere around where I work. For $1,000. I ranted a bit LMAO. Losing family. As a kid, you never really let it hit you deep. When you get older and understand you can't cope emotionally. Fuck man. Widowhood. I never realized how difficult it is until I became one. It's totally different from getting a divorce. Cramps. Being stalked, sexually harassed or abused. Horrifying when you're alone with a person with bad intentions. And when you realize it and it sinks in, you feel nothing but pure dread. Death of a parent. Infertility. How truly awful American healthcare is. Divorce. telling the kids that their perfect family is splitting up, dealing with the finances, the assets, the emotional upheaval. And mine was a friendly divorce where we acted like adults and had a reasonable separation. I can't imagine what a horrible breakup would have been like. Being marginally poor, you make too much to qualify for help but not enough to improve your life. Loss of a child. Being overweight, especially being significantly overweight, and keeping weight off after you've lost it. It's a hard road to go down. Having to deal with hunger the whole time and then managing to never give in so you don't gain it back. It's truly a constant battle. Mental health issues. Homelessness. Everything just about. Humans are bad at understanding things that are going on outside of our own lives. Homelessness. Mental illness. The feeling of being trapped in a cult. Insomnia. What it feels like to be the most educated person in a room. We just suck at empathy. Giving birth. How extremely valuable being healthy is. We take the smallest things for granted, and I'd give whatever to get my health back. Psychiatric disorders. I'm an OCD patient and people tend to use that acronym way too much to describe their antics, without knowing what it's really like to live with it. Car accidents. Depression. War. The complexity and longevity of grief. It never really goes away. It just evolves and becomes less acute over time. Taking care of a parent with dementia. Psychological abuse or abuse from a narcissist. How anyone can stay in an abusive relationship. These relationships don't start out that way. It's like a bait and switch. Then feeling trapped and/or scared. Sleep paralysis. Being a male, also being a female. The numb part of depression. Mental health crisis. Aging. Grieving the loss of a pet. Addiction. Most if not all mental illness. Being fat. Combat. Social anxiety. Losing someone you love to suicide. Addiction. Ableism. Drugs. Having a child with a disability. Believe me, I know everyone thinks they understand because of how many comments I've received from absolute strangers. But they have no idea. Being a step-parent. You have all the responsibility and hard work, without any of the authority or credit. Depression and anxiety are MFs. Failure. Being bullied. Mental illness. To the outsiders it always looks like you're too lazy to do anything. Cutting yourself. Being a parent. Psychedelics. That our brains don't start to mature until after 27. Old age. Managing people. Being cheated on. Divorce. Real back pain. Like can't get out of bed. Can't think about anything else. Intense unrelenting pain. I have herniated discs and scoliosis. Sometimes it is near unbearable. People will be like, oh man, I know what you're going through. I pulled a muscle in my back once and I could hardly move. You have no idea what I'm going through. How the church was soaking them for all that money and volunteering efforts over the years. While the church grew and got more and more money, but they never bought transportation or even bus passes for the little old ladies who were giving every week and may leave whatever they have to the church. Throwing your back out. It's not an excuse for old guys to take a couple weeks off work. It's not something you can power through. It is honestly scary how debilitating it was.